Hello, my fellow React developers. My name is Ebuano, and I'll be building this project called Task Duty, or possibly you could call it Task Manager. All right, so it's a project that involves every user creating tasks. The user has ability to create tasks on the site. He has ability to edit the task and also delete the task as well. So this is just going to be the project brief, as you can rightly see on your screen. So the Task Manager app or Task Duty app, well, the first thing we'll talk about here is going to be the project introduction, where we'll talk about the Figma, we'll talk about React, we'll talk about the packages to install in React, which includes Tailwind Css, that is for my CSS framework, and the Daisy UI for components. We would also need Google Fonts, a font family from Google Fonts, and also React Router. Furthermore, we'll go into designing the home page, the all tasks page, the new task UI, edit task UI, and consuming APIs subsequently. And also be pushing to Git and GitHub, and also deploying our project on Vercel, where we could actually share links to friends or fellow developers to see your project as well. All right. So as a developer, we do get designs from UI UX designers. So their duty is just to design a particular project and pass it on to the developer. So as a developer, we are supposed to take a look at the design and build websites using the design as a template. Yeah, so you get the colors, you get the images, you know how the structure of the website is supposed to look like. So the UI UX designers are simply just like your civil engineers and architects. So the architect comes in and he has this plan, he draws everything needs to draw on paper. Then the civil engineer comes in and then it builds the project or like a road or construction. So in this context here, that is what the UI UX designers are to us. Just like our tools we use are VS Code for building websites, for creating or for writing codes, so to say. The design tool, the technology they use, the UI UX designers use to design is actually called Figma. There are other design tools they could use, but Figma happens to be one of the most used ones there for designers. All right, so we'll take a look at that briefly. And this is just the project brief. So I'll be sharing the next slide you'll be seeing is going to be the Figma design. So here we go. So this is how the design looks like. So if you don't have an account on Figma, please just go on Figma, search for Figma on your Google search, on your Chrome browser or any preferred browser of your choice, then type in Figma. Then you could just basically sign up using your Google account and answer the necessary questions you need to ask, or you could answer, or you could just skip some of the questions. All right. It's a very easy way to actually sign up on Figma. So if you sign up on Figma, you should be able to be greeted with a welcome interface. Then you could also grab this link. I'll share this link. Whoever needs the project, I'll share this link and you will get access to this project. So this is the Figma design, like I rightly said. So the walkthrough here, this is going to be the home page, which is the landing page, which consists of, as you can clearly see, the set of navigational links, which should be your nav bar, which is constant in all pages, as you can rightly see. And then the home page consists of this text on the left and this image on the right. So if the user goes all the way and he clicks on, let's assume you click on all tasks, it takes the user to this part of the website. This is just a design. Takes the user to this place, and then you observe that on the nav bar, you don't get to see the two navigational links like you rightly see on the home page. There's a hook we can use in React to actually achieve this exact feature. So on this all task page, you only see new task here, which tells you that if you click on this new task, it takes you to this part. So on this all task page, we also need to design all these features you see here. Then if you click on new task, it takes you all the way to the new task. And here you can also see that new task doesn't show here anymore, which tells you that this is a new task on page. And this, if you click on all task, it takes you back to all task. So if you need to edit, you already have these buttons here. You click on edit, it takes you all the way to this page for the edit task page where you do your necessary editing, and then you click on the button. It takes you back probably to your home page. Okay, and also we also have a delete button here. All right, so this is just a Figma design, and I'll also walk you through how to download, how to get images and the likes. All right, so let's start up with the project setup. So I'll be expecting you all to have at least created a folder. I've already created a folder, which I'm going to share currently. I've created a folder which I called Task Duty App, and it's just a folder that is empty. I'll need you all to also open up this folder on your VS Code. Okay, so I'll be taking you over to my VS Code shortly. All right, so this is my VS Code. I already informed you to open up that folder on your VS Code, and you have this setup here, which is a regular setup for your VS Code when you open a new VS Code. And you can rightly see the title of this folder open here. So we need to use React to build this project. This is not your HTML and CSS project. This is going to be React. So we need to open up our terminal. We need to open up our terminal so that we can actually write some commands. So what exactly is a terminal? So a terminal is just a text-based interface that allows users to interact with a computer system through commands. So where you have to write some commands, it's total black screen. You have to write your commands and write commands essentially for the system. So it's a way to access the command line interface as well of an operating system, which enables users to execute commands, manipulate files, and manage applications. All right, that's exactly what a terminal is. So on your VS Code, for you to get a terminal, be it Windows or Mac, you could easily get a terminal. You click on this part, you click on New Terminal, or you just drag this bottom part of your work. Then for those using Windows, you could just go with Ctrl J. All right, so you have your terminal here. So all you need to do is I prefer to use git bash terminal. So any terminal at all is fine. So you just go with the commands to create an instance of React in your folder here. So you just go with npm create vit at latest. All right, so you put a full stop, then --dash template React. So the reason I placed a full stop here is to tell React that when creating folders, when creating an instance of React in this folder, no need to create another folder in this tax duty app. There is no need. So just give me an instance of React, or give me React, install React into this current folder I've already named. So if peradventure you come in here and you put a name here, let's say I give it tax work, for instance, what React is going to do is that it's going to install React into that current folder you're giving to it here, the new folder. And this old folder will be inside of this tax duty app. So to avoid all those parts, just put a full stop and go about it like this. Then you press enter. So you could also go all the way to, okay, sorry, I skipped something. That's a typo. That should be latest, not latest. That should be latest. Okay, so I have it there already. Now you can see that everything is created inside my Task Duty app. All right. So the other things they asked us to do here, they said, done. Now run npm install. So I'll just go with npm I or npm install, which would provide me a node modules folder. Without the node modules folder, you will not be able to run this npm run dev, which is to run your server, your local server. All right. So npm install, you will see a folder coming up here shortly. So it's going to install the dependencies that my project would actually need, and for us to also use npm run dev on the project as well. So you can install that. All right, so I'm done. The installation is done. So you can see the node modules folder. So the next thing they asked us to do is to type in the command of npm run dev. You can't type this command without using the terminal. That's why I'm using this terminal here. So npm run dev. Remember, you can use any terminal at all. It doesn't have to be git bash terminal. So npm run dev, that is to run the server. So you go with npm run dev. So it's giving me localhost 5174. All right, that's because the default port number is 5173, but since it's currently in use on my own system locally, that is why it gave me another port number to go with. So you just hover on it, you follow the link, click on it, it opens up on your browser, which I will share shortly. Okay, so this is exactly how it looks like. So this is not a session to explain React, it's just to build a project, because before you could get to this extent, definitely you understand the project folders and what React really means. So the next thing that I'm going to do here is to also install some other packages. Remember the project brief we talked about before we started? We said project introduction, we talked about Figma, React, the packages we've installed. We now have React on our folder. So we want to get in Tailwind CSS, Daisy UI, and possibly Google Fonts as well. So let's go all the way to the browser. So here, I'm going to create a new tab. I'll go with Tailwind. So this is it, using Vite. So you just copy this one, go back to your terminal. Okay, so I wouldn't want to break from my server, although it's not a problem. You can break from it using Ctrl+C. When you break from your terminal, from your server, the website will not be active locally on your browser. That's because you've broken from the server. So for you to install that package, you need to come to your terminal. So I'm going to use this terminal for my server. I'll click on this plus sign. And then all I need to do is to place that command I just got from Tailwind. Okay, so if you want to get the same colors and everything I have, if you already have installed Git, I'm very sure you must have installed Git by now. So it's just for you to come to this plus sign, click on select default profile, then you select Git bash, gives you the same color, but it's not important. You could use any terminal, like I said. So I'm going to use this and I'll press enter. It's going to install Tailwind CSS for me. However, we are not done. There are other parts that we need to attach on our work. So as you can see, as a developer, you need to read documentation. So we have installed the Tailwind. Then the next thing they said, configure the Vite plugin. They said add this plugin to your Tailwind CSS Vite in your Vite configuration. So these are the highlighted parts they want you to grab. So on your folder, Vite already has something called Vite configuration file. So you add this, you also add these plugins to it. Very easy. So let's go back. Okay, it's done installing. Then you go to your Vite config. You drop this here. You go back again. You get this. Okay, so you place it inside this array. You don't need this closing comma since it's just two things there. All right. So this is just the second part of the installation process. So let's go back to the documentation. The third one says, add this in your CSS file that imports Tailwind CSS. All right. Then you can run npm run dev again, which you've already done. Okay, so this is using pure HTML, but we're using React. So 1 to 4 should be enough for this project. So we go back again. So you can add it in any of the CSS files you want to add yours on. but I would prefer to add mine on my index.css, since that's the root CSS as well. All right, so don't forget to take out all this CSS that comes with the installation of React. Clear your index.css. Also clear your app.css. You don't need those information. Then here, you just import your Tailwind CSS. All right, so having done that, let's go back to our server. You just break from it with Control C. Just press Control and C key. Then you run your server one more time. Okay. Then let's go back to our browser. Okay, so just we are done with this. Okay. So we have Tailwind on our work already. So this is just the brief intro from React, like you already know. Okay, so we need to clear it out, which is you can find here. So ensure to clear these all parts out from your work. Clear this out and clear this entire work here. Furthermore, we would also need to install Daisy UI and Google Fonts as well. So Daisy UI is just where I will grab components from. Components, by components, I mean if I need to use modals, drop down, and the likes, I wouldn't want to create those myself. Okay, so we just head over to Daisy. Then you go to how to use. You're using npm, you copy this, you need to install. Go back to your terminal. Recall, I'm using this first terminal for my server, the second terminal for my installation. Here we go. You install that. But we are not done with the installation process. This is just the first part. So don't forget that when you are installing packages, you get the dependency version, the dependency and its version in package.json. Here we go. So currently we've installed Tailwind Vite. We've installed Daisy UI likewise, okay, which is under dev dependencies as well. This is it here. That is why you have this D in front of it for development. So you have it Daisy UI, all right? So we have to head over, we have to go back to Daisy UI. Now they said you just need two things here, unlike Tailwind that required more than two. So you copy this, or let's just grab this. You copy this and add it to your app.css, but I'm going to use my index.css for that. So going back again, I'll come in here and then index.css, I'll just grab this and place it here. So now I have my Daisy UI, I also have my Tailwind CSS. So let's go back again to the design and let's see what's going on there. So the goal of every project is not to get 100% of this design, but to get something very, very, very close to it actually. So let's take a look at it here now. So for this, if I were to grab this image, because we need this image on our work, I'll just click on Control key, then navigate to whatsoever way I want to go to pick something. So if I click on this all task, you see there's going to be a sidebar on the right-hand side that tells you what the designer used for this. The person used font family of Signica Negative, font weight of 500, font size of 22px, and this is the color the person used. It gives you everything the designer used in creating this website. However, if you also want to get this image, it's just for you to double tap. So this is, you see, it's currently showing me that this is the surface, the card, the box, the border of this design. So I'll just click on it twice. So I've gotten this particular feature to select it. So if I go back to this place, you see something called preview here. Now this is the image here. So I can easily export it maybe as a file format of PNG, JPEG, SVG, or PDF. So I would prefer to use SVG or PNG or JPEG, I mean. And we also need this image here as well. I just double tapped on it. If I come here, click on this plus sign, preview, you have it here as well. So that is exactly how you can actually grab all these things. So let's take a look at the font family that was used generally on this project, Signica Negative, which you could also find on every other text. Signica Negative. Signica Negative. What varies here is just the font weight and the font sizes. They are not the same thing. So how then do we get this font family from an online platform? This Signica Negative is not on VS Code. So we could grab it from, let's go all the way to Google Fonts. So grab the name, Signica. So delete that part and go back. So this is the search box. I just need to impute it here. Good. So we have the Signica here. This is the Google font. So all I need to do is just to get font. Okay. After getting font, then you could go with either download or get embed code. I prefer to get the embedded code. You have the link, which is going to be placed in the HTML page, but I would prefer to use import. Okay. So I'll just grab just this part of it. Then I'll place it all the way at the top. It needs to be at the top. Okay. Now, if you remember, I said that it's obviously you could see that Signica negative was what the designer used throughout the project, right? So it's best for me to just put it on the body outrightly. Just put it on the body of my work outrightly, just like this. Okay. So let's go back and grab the font family, the usage. This is how to get the code, and this is the usage here. So this is exactly what we need, just this one. All right. So I'll go back to my VS Code and drop it in here. So everything will be affected with this font family. All right. So I think that will be all for this section. The next section, we should be talking about this. We should be talking about creating the UIs. Okay, before I forget, we also need to install React Router DOM, which helps us to navigate between pages in React. All right. So let's just do that right away. Okay. So you just go with the commands npm install React Router DOM. So this is what will help us navigate between pages. And it comes with other hooks that we can use as well, like use match, like links. Link is it comes from that as well. So that will be all for this section, like I said. Let's go back to project. So we're done with this. We're done installing Daisy. Exactly. So it's going to be blank because we've not written any codes yet. Okay. So do code along and happy coding, guys. See you in the next section.